speakers. We're proud to have MCFI here. We've got a number of connections with St. Matthew's and their board, Rob Waddell, among them, and look forward to hearing from Tanya and from their organization. We have a check for you too that will come.
Oh, wow. That's so nice. Wow.
As part of your being here. I thought I'd have it, but I don't know where it is.
That's so nice. Wow.
So I'll get it to you. I thought it was going to be on my desk, and it wasn't today. So, but it's part of our way of saying thanks to you for what you do. And so.
Wow, we're so appreciative. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
without further ado.
So you heard from me up at the podium. I'm Tanya Mazur-Posner, and I'm in charge of fund development at Milwaukee Center for Independence. And I'm here with two colleagues of mine, Dr. Heidi Sikora and John Cianelli. Each of them are in charge of a specific program area for Milwaukee Center for Independence. And they're going to be talking about their respective programs and the clients that they serve. But what I first wanted to start off by doing is showing you a video about Milwaukee Center for Independence. It's an awesome video. It was done in conjunction with our 75th anniversary, which was a year ago. But it takes you through the history of our agency and showcases a lot of wonderful things that we do on behalf of our community and our wonderful clients that we serve. So let me start playing that. Oops.
Center for Independence was founded. The people were Jewish immigrants fleeing oppression in Europe. Jewish Vocational Service was here to help with housing assistance, education, counseling, job training, and placement. Services were tailored to the needs and abilities of each person served. The approach worked so well, soon the agency opened its doors to others who could help, breaking down barriers to independence. People who live with disabilities. The agency grew as demand for its services increased. To better reflect our mission, JVS became the Milwaukee Center for Independence. The agency quickly became a national leader in innovative services for children and adults with special needs. The agency was the first to prove that children with disabilities can learn in school settings, leading to a change in state law. It was among the first to coordinate medical, educational, and social services for people with disabilities. The agency was selected by the federal government to demonstrate how adults with disabilities can thrive in community job placements. MCFI worked with Humana to develop a managed care organization for people with disabilities. Independent care now serves more than 20,000 consumers. MCFI increased its commitment to children with special needs, opening a school chartered through UWM and Pediatric Skilled Nursing, a community-based day nursing service accredited by the Joint Commission. Today, MCFI and its affiliates, the School for Early Development and Achievement, New Health Services, and TLS Behavioral Health serve thousands of individuals and families throughout Wisconsin, from newborns to seniors. And today, just as in 1938, MCFI is helping people achieve their dreams, helping them progress through challenge to triumph. MCFI has led the way with programming that respects and encourages the client's right to direct the course of their lives. Alexis is just one example. A night out with friends turned tragic for Alexis when she was involved in a car crash. Her injuries were severe, requiring extensive hospitalization and physical therapy. She continues to recover from traumatic brain injury. When she first came to MCFI, she used a wheelchair, then a walker, and now Alexis is walking again.
Before my accident, I was pretty independent, like physically and mentally or whatnot. But now I have like physical flaws where it's like I don't walk as fast as I used to, and like my arm, I can't really use it much, you know. So it's still me.
At MCFI, she takes classes in reading comprehension, writing, Spanish, horticulture, and healthy cooking. She has regained her right to self-direction, a major personal goal.
Seeing her kind of come out of her shell a little bit, seeing her become more confident, seeing her get really excited about her future and what was going to be possible in her life. Really an amazing thing and a really beautiful thing to watch.
Because I want to make my own like health and like financial decisions for myself.
And she does.
I have a plan. I want to go to school, so eventually I'm going to go to school. I don't want anybody to say, well, you have to go to school. I'll go to school when I feel like I'm mentally ready. Yeah, I want to help like other people who got into like car accidents and things and whatnot that need someone to talk to about their problems or whatnot.
And that's why we're here, to help them understand that, yes, those resources are out there. Yes, we're here to help you. But to give them that confidence to say, you know what, you can do it. And most of the time when they sit back and think about it, you can kind of see, especially with Alexis, she'll sit back and say, you know what, yeah. She gets that smile on her face and she's like, yeah, I can do that. I know I can do that.
I'm ready! Yes!
MCFI and the Wisconsin Division of Vocational Rehabilitation often work together to help people overcome barriers to employment.
Back in 2008, I got hit by a car, and I had blood on my brain. And so my sister hooked me with DVR, and then in turn, DVR hooked me with Milwaukee Center for Independence.
MCFI's Hospitality Academy helped Roosevelt hone the skills he needed to re-enter the workforce. Though it had many challenges to overcome, Roosevelt persisted. It took time and patience. But when the Bartolotta restaurants turned to MCFI to recommend a great employee, Roosevelt topped the list of candidates.
And when this opportunity came available, you know, he was well prepared, he was ready, and he kind of took control of his own destiny from there on out, and it really worked out well for him.
MCFI made sure the match would continue to be right for Roosevelt and his employer.
From when he first started till now, he's grown in his position. He's working at 2 different restaurants. His hard work has allowed other individuals with disabilities to get jobs at Bartolotta.
Because the job coach is very involved in the success of the MCFI folks, your clients, it makes it a very successful partnership with us, because it allows them to understand what the job is, what the duties are, and really gives them a sense of pride because they have achieved so much success.
Not reflecting back on the way I used to be. I feel I'm more responsible and respectful,
a little patient, considerate, and loving. You got to love your job and have a positive attitude.
For children with special needs, early education and treatment can be life-changing. Jacob, who has been diagnosed with autism, needed help in overcoming sensory issues.
Jacob was very shy. He made very little eye contact, responded to questions with one word, or just wouldn't say anything. A lot of times, too, he would not look at people when they talked to him. So he would intentionally turn away from them when he spoke to them.
Teachers and therapists at MCFI children's programs worked with his parents to develop a personalized plan.
When I met him, he could write his name. He knew isolated letters, but he wasn't very interested in writing. So one of my goals was to get him to write.
With one-on-one attention and intensive therapies, Jacob has made remarkable progress.
Today, Jacob is much more socially interactive. He initiates more. He is interested in peers. He's interested in things that they like to do. He's interested in what they're doing. He initiates conversation, so he greets them versus being told to greet them or them greeting him first. His vocabulary has increased tremendously.
I definitely think that if he didn't go to CETA, he wouldn't have made some of the gains that he's made. He could have maybe at other places, but I don't know, because they were one-on-one. It was great. So I'm excited about it. But when he started here, there were so many things that he just wasn't doing. But I think CETA really helped him.
And he is thriving as a student at the Milwaukee Academy of Science. Today, Jacob's future looks bright. In the 75 years MCFI has been serving our community, much has changed. Just as in the beginning, the agency helps people need education, counseling, job training, and placement. But now, MCFI is doing so much more. Services, long-term care, behavioral health, and children's programs. Today, MCFI touches the lives of thousands of people in our community, helping them move from challenge to triumph and achieve their dreams. Your support of MCFI programs and services changes lives. Thank you on behalf of the people we are privileged to serve.
I've only been with the agency for 4 months, and I've seen this video about 20 times, and every time I see it I get very emotional, and it just touches my heart. And I'm really proud to be part of an agency that serves so many people with such respect and dignity and with such care. I'm going to shift this over to a PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to call on my colleague, John Cianelli, who is the Executive Director of Transitional Living Services, and he's going to talk about some major changes taking place in his area of Milwaukee Center for Independence. And let me put this in PowerPoint mode. Yeah, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for inviting us here this morning to speak with you. We're always, very excited to share things that programs that we're very passionate about at MCFI. And I think, as you can see in the video, it can get really overwhelming watching people, as they move from, a time in their life of struggle, sometimes suffering, to a point at which their life has recovered and they folks have begun to live again. So it's always an honor to be able to share our story. So thanks for inviting us. As Tanya mentioned, one of the new initiative that we have going on at the agency is a new concept. Really, it's a concept. It's not just a program, but it's a concept about this group that we call whole health clinical group. And what we've done is we have done a lot of research and study in the area about how to help people that we serve improve their health outcomes. And so we did that work with universities and local colleges and trying to understand how can we best serve people that come to us and how can we improve their outcomes. And so up front and center to that concept is integrated health or whole health. And so we created a group of practitioners. Oops. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Sorry. Gotta get my rhythm here. We created a group of practitioners, experts really, in the area of both primary care, behavioral health care, addiction services to work with us and deliver services to the people throughout the agencies. And so our goal is just that. It's really to try to combine services. And there's lots of research now, both clinical research, economic research, that shows that by integrating care, treating the whole person at the same time, that people get better. They get better faster. They have better satisfaction with their health care. People, it's more cost effective and helps people from needing, more intensive and sometimes undesirable types of care. And so we are very excited about this. It has a component of, as the slide said, it has a component of early intervention and prevention to it, so that we really help folks as quickly as possible identify their healthcare needs and then get a plan, work with them as a partner to get a plan in place. So who are we? Milwaukee Center, as you can see from the video, Milwaukee Center for Independence is one of Wisconsin's largest nonprofit agencies, and we've established this whole health clinical group to provide better outcomes for people. I mentioned that we were working with universities such as the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Case Western University, on really trying to understand what is the latest research and what is the best evidence-based practice we can bring to serve people. And so really that's what it's about, right? It's about really understanding what the evidence is. We've provided services for a long time, and for lots and lots of people in our community. But our next generation, our next direction, our next vision is to really do that in a way that is as evidence-based as possible, right? Because it's through the research and through certain types of treatments and models that we can support people's lives to recover more effectively and sooner and in a early intervention sort of way. Primary and central to this concept is this idea of person-centered planning. So people we really are striving toward having what we call a shared decision-making model where people who come to us for help participate in the development of their treatment. They work side by side with their doctors, with their psychiatrist, with the therapists and social workers on the team, really to develop this interdisciplinary kind of patient-centered plan. Because again, we know that with ourselves, right? If we could be part of the solution, or if we have buy-in to what the plan is, we're better apt to follow through with the plan, right? I know, that works for me as well, right? If I have somebody, telling me I need to do this and I need to take this medication, I need to do this, I'm less apt to be interested in it and less apt to want to participate in it, right? Versus if it's something I own, like my commitment to my recovery or my commitment to my health, right? And so this person-centered approach, kind of shared decision-making model, is one of our values, so that people feel part of their plan and part of their treatment. And as I mentioned, the really exciting part, we have a long history of being a behavioral health agency. In fact, this year we'll be celebrating, TLS Behavioral Health will be celebrating, a division of MCFI will be celebrating its 50th anniversary. So we've been in business, we've been doing this for a very long time, behavioral health services. What's our future and what's about our about our future and about where we're headed is this concept of integration. So we really have brought practitioners on our team, including primary care, diagnostic and treatment services for behavioral health. We work very closely now in trying to bring our practitioners together. And so literally our practitioners meet together like on a weekly basis to understand, people that they're trying to support. And so, what's very different about that is, you might, in other models, right, you might go see your physical doctor, at one part of the city, then you might go see your therapist who's in another part of the city, and then your psychiatrist who's yet in another part of the city, right? And you hope that each one of those practitioners directs your care, helps you direct your care in a way that helps each one of those issues get better. But as we all know, that's not always the case, right? It can be very fragmented sometimes, our care, and it can lead to being very frustrating for both, adults and then certainly people, who are elderly. So the concept behind this model, of course, everything's in one spot. Everything's in one office, right? So if somebody comes to us for an appointment, they might see their primary care doctor to work, to help work on their diabetes or their high blood pressure. And then if they have a behavioral health or addiction service, then there's a therapist or a psychiatrist right down the hall. So everything kind of right in the same spot, which is even including a pharmacy. So there's also a pharmacy right in the same building. So let's talk a little bit about primary care. So in our primary care program, we have practitioners that are serving people who have, kind of typical illnesses, acute illnesses such as, flu and infection and sore throats. A big part of what we do, though, our practitioners do, our nurses and doctors do, is work with people who have chronic health conditions, right? Such as diabetes and high blood pressure and asthma. And so one of the things that we know, it's just known today, is that people who are adults who live with mental illness have a much higher propensity of having chronic health conditions. And some of that is, related to just the illness itself. Some of it's related to, some of the lifestyle that folks lead. But statistically, and then some of the medications, right? So some of the medications people take also, leave folks with some, terrible side effects that, equate to some chronic health conditions. So that said, one of the things our primary care doctors do is really try to work on that, right? Because we know statistically that people living with mental illness, of course, are challenged and have about a 25-year less life expectancy than the general population. I mean, that's a national known statistic now. And so this model really works to help people not only take care of their, what's going on with them emotionally or their experience, but also their physical health, right? That's so critical and important. Behavioral health services include things like traditional therapy, assessment, diagnosis, work on spectrum disorders, adult behavioral health clinics, so things like therapy, assessment, diagnosis, medication management, and then something unique to our agency that maybe you wouldn't see, if you just went to a walk-in clinic or even, I'd go as far as saying even a clinic that's attached to a hospital, is because our roots are in, community health, we have teams of people, assertive community treatment teams of people that literally go out into the community and serve people in their home in a very kind of assertive sort of way, preventative sort of way. And so we have some folks that we support in our assertive community treatment team. Sometimes we see people daily. Sometimes we'll see people twice a day if that's what they need to get jump started. So it's assertive community treatment model, but it's like what you and I might know as a home health model, right? Where you have a home health practitioner come right to your home and work with you. And then of course we also have in our behavioral health model, we have crisis intervention services. So very specifically, we run 2 crisis centers, 2 crisis homes, one up on the north side on 50th and Villard, 54th and Villard, and then one on the south side of Milwaukee on 13th and Beecher. So over 20 beds we operate 24/7, 365. We never close, and we're a resource to this community for people who are experience some type of mental health crisis, right? So people come to us from all over the community, and we're open. We have 20 beds, about 10 and 10 that we work with folks to help resolve whatever their immediate crisis is. And then once that happens, the awesome part about it is we're able to connect people then back to our clinic, to our services, right? So that the person can continue to be connected and work toward their recovery. Sure, go ahead.
I was just curious, with the crisis intervention then, is that drop-in or do they have to go through a referral process?
No, it's not. It's, we take, I guess the right word is walk-in, right? So we take people who walk in and so they're people that can, people can come and just talk to a counselor. Like they might, just need to talk to a counselor and figure out, how to get connected to something, some service in the community, all the way to, some people come and then they sleep, stay with us. On average, somewhere between 5 and 8 days, somebody might stay with us, work on intensive treatment, and then work with a social worker to get reconnected and, find housing in the community or get connected with some other type of treatment. So, and so it really is meant to support a person right during the time of crisis, right? To help them figure out what that is, work with some treatment and resolve it so the person can move on. Really a short stay intervention. Yeah.
What about people that are coming in with drug dependencies
or
overdoses?
Sure. What the center is not, of course, is it's not a detox center. There's another Horizon in Milwaukee runs specifically a treatment program that has both ambulatory and inpatient detox center attached to it. That's not us. We're really, and so we do a lot of coordination with them. Constantly, where somebody might enter their door, but be better to come to our door, and then vice versa. So we work really closely with them, trying to match kind of in a no wrong door approach to services. But that, we're really specialized. Our clinicians are specialized on helping a person resolve their mental health crisis. Not necessarily. Now that said, part of our model, part of our vision for the future is what I said earlier, integrated care, right? And so I focused a lot on primary care, behavioral health care, but then the third part of that is addiction and focusing on supporting people who have co-occurring conditions, right? Because again, this whole concept of the whole health clinical group is treating the whole person, right? Trying to treat the whole person. So people, about 80%, to answer your question real directly, about 80% of the people who come to us have some kind of co-occurring condition, either a chronic physical problem, a health problem, and an addiction problem. They're co-occurring. It all happens at one time. So our practitioners, we have, on our team, we have board certified family practice physicians, we have a doctor of nursing practice, we have nurse practitioners, licensed counselors, we have licensed psychologists, we have licensed psychiatrists, we have 2-3 pharmacists on staff that we run our community pharmacy, and then lots of people who are social workers and case managers that help to integrate care. It's an exciting time for us, and I'm excited and I'm very passionate to have the opportunity to talk about it, because our program has grown so greatly. We've outgrown our space, and we no longer can. We have a building, you saw it on the video on South 70th Street. We no longer fit. We no longer have enough space to do all these exciting things and serve all the people that come to us every day. And so we're working with Cardinal Capital Management. They're a developer in town here to develop a new building. And it's located on the 900th block of South 60th. It's like 60th and Hawley in West Dallas, only a few blocks from our current location. And this clinic, it's going to be amazing. We have one exam room now. This clinic's, if we can get it funded, if we can get this project funded, where Tanya and I are working, the whole agency is working together to try to raise money to get this clinic. We go from one exam room, therapy room, to possibly 10, right? So that we have, space for all of these clinicians to serve, practitioners to serve people. So our future is about integrated care, right? Coordinating care together for people. We know that that's what the science says is most effective, both from a clinical perspective as well as from a cost perspective, right? Because it's really important for us to be responsible around what our around our cost of care, making sure that what care we give people works for them, right? So thank you for the opportunity to talk. I'll turn it over to my partner, Heidi.
Thank you, Jen. Good morning. Good morning. I too am very excited to be here, and thank you so much for the opportunity to tell you more about our services. Feel free to stop and ask any questions. And I'm going to talk about brain injury and neuro rehab services that really focus on recovery. So for Milwaukee Center for Independence, for many years, really for 75 years, we have served individuals who have had a brain injury starting from birth to 2 years of age, and that's called a developmental disability or intellectual disability. But in more recent years, we have people that have acquired or traumatic brain injury. So an acquired brain injury is something that happens after the age of 2, and most often in early adulthood. So that might be a motor vehicle accident or a fall, and also something like a metabolic disorder, maybe a kidney failure that leads to loss of oxygen to the brain. So under that whole umbrella of acquired brain injury, traumatic is part of that. So we started to have more people that came to us with, I don't know why that does it sometimes, but in any case, with the acquired and traumatic brain injury. So right now, what we've done in the last several years is develop a continuum of care to serve people with brain injury. And just as John talked about, the fragmented care, that's really a concern for people with brain injury because it affects people's ability to navigate through a complex system. And so the most common things that we see are problems with executive function, lack of insight, inability to really coordinate all that care. So what we've really done is help people through that by developing a multidisciplinary team, just as John talked about, that we have physicians, psychologists, psychiatrists, physical therapy, occupational therapy, just all kinds of helpful professionals that are there to help coordinate those services. So evidence-based care is the foundation for all that we do. So what that means is that we make sure that everything that we apply as far as treatments and services is based in science. And we want to make sure that we have outcomes that demonstrate that we are very effective in what we do. So we have basically a 3-tiered approach. The next day rehab center is an immediate post-acute inpatient center. We have 18 beds, and that just opened in June of 2014. And so this center was previously in a nursing home in Milwaukee that closed. And so if we did not have the support of MCFI, there would be no post-acute brain injury services in the Milwaukee area. So it was very, very important for us to go ahead and help support that unit. And we were able to find another spot for that at the Wellspring on 93rd and Fond du Lac. And we were opened in a pretty short time, fully staffed. There are 30 original employees that came along with that unit, and then we've hired approximately 10 to 12 more. So that's also a 365-day, 24/7 facility, and it is for people that really need that kind of intensive support after the acute stay. So the individuals get a minimum of 2 hours of therapy Monday through Friday, and then they have a little rest period on the weekend, but they're there 24/7, and it does entail a lot of nursing care. So as you saw in the initial film, Alexis, she initially had a tracheostomy, and so we do take people with trachs. Most of the people come in a wheelchair, but they walk out. So it's a very exciting thing to see the progress that they make. And then we do have also a community-based outpatient brain injury center on the south side at our next day facility in Bayview. And we have approximately 42 people in that program. We have 2 branches of the program, people with long-term needs, and they, without that program, would be basically sitting home alone. They wouldn't be able to engage in activities, and their quality of life would be very poor. So coming to the center, we have all kinds of activities, horticulture, art therapy, music therapy, as well as all kinds of cognitive rehab that happens, and physical, occupational, and speech therapy. So that's a very important service for them. And then we have a short-term program, very intensive, for those individuals that are really seeking to be more independent in the community and have the ability to get back to work or back to a higher level of independence. And so that's a smaller group of people. So our funding is very challenging. As John talked about, this is something that we really need to seek a lot of help and donations for, because without that, we're not able to provide the level of service. Our level of service exceeds our funding. We are very fortunate. We have a very visionary and supportive CEO and board, and they just really insist that our outcomes are demonstrated and that our level of service is above really what the level of funding provides for. So we just really have to step up to the challenges. So I talked about the 18-bed unit that we have. We serve individuals there 15 years and older, and individuals that are in those teenage years. There's supportive services to make sure that they have a private room, that they can get back to school. And then there is a lot of assistance for cognitive rehab, and then returning into the community. So it's a community reintegration program. So even though they're living in the facility, they are still going out during the day. We make sure that they're having activities out in the community. There is for example, a horseback riding program, which is really important because that helps with the balance and also gets them, out. And there's just something really special about working with animals. So I already talked about, we have a dedicated team, brain injury rehab therapists. I'm a doctor of nursing practice. I'm part of that team. We also have full range of services. So 24/7 clinical support team. And the inpatient unit, we have 2 physiatrists that see the patients regularly. We have neuropsychology, real important part of that program. Vocational evaluation and counseling, all kinds of recreational activities, social activities. We really work through an experiential learning model. So people learn better through doing things, especially adults, rather than just sitting in a classroom learning. So many things are hands-on, and sometimes the clients don't have the ability to do it themselves, so we provide hand-over-hand kind of assist for them to engage in it. Any questions?
Do clients pay for any of their care or insurance coverage at all, or is it?
Most of our clients don't have the funds to pay privately. We do have a few people that are able to do that. And through the Medicaid long-term care program, family care, they pay some. For the inpatient unit, it is specialized funding through Medicaid, but outpatient is mostly family care. And that's where I talk about it doesn't really fund to the level of services that we provide.
So private insurance doesn't cover anything?
Private insurance will cover the inpatient stay, but for the outpatient program, it'll cover some services. It's challenging. They'll cover my direct services. They'll cover. Yes, ma'am.
Maybe you covered this already, but when you mentioned family care, are these changes in the budget now? Does that affect your organization, the state budget?
It possibly could. We don't know yet. The budget won't be approved until June. From the things that we've seen, it will continue to support at least some of the services that we have. Any other thoughts on that, John?
There's some pretty bold, there's some pretty large changes, right, in that budget. The hard part about it is, as Heidi mentioned, it isn't something, it'll be a process, right, to have it move through the legislature. So it's, while we watch it and we're watching every, step of it, we have a person on staff who literally is our government relations person. He's had a long history in legislation, and he keeps his eye on this so that we can understand what effect it might have, on our reimbursements. As Heidi said, we're for some of the people that we serve who are insured through the government, right, either Medicare, Medicaid, or some of the state HMOs. Oftentimes, these evidence-based practices that we talk about aren't fully funded to the degree that we hold ourselves to trying to provide. So that does leave us a gap always, right, between the cost of what the care we deliver and then how much we get actually reimbursed. So that's why fundraising for us, that's, Tanya's part of our team because of that reason. Fundraising for us, looking, for ways to raise money to really bridge that gap between what insurances pay and what it costs to really deliver the care.
Thank you, Jen. So as you can imagine, brain injury is very complex. Your brain is what makes you who you are. It's what helps you relate to other people. It's what helps you function. And it's a bit of a mystery on all the interconnectedness of the brain. So because it affects so many things, it's a very intensive, complex process to try and help people. And it takes an entire team to do that. So the level of funding doesn't really rise to that level, but we still provide that because it's very important. It really does change people's lives very dramatically. So we really try to help them find that new normal because for most of our clients, they're more than moderate to severe injury, and so they really do need to find that new normal because life has changed for them, and it happens in a matter of seconds. So it really is quite intensive and very important work that we do with an incredible team. So the outpatient services, already really talked quite a bit about that. On the outpatient side, we're not as restricted to the diagnoses as the inpatient side. So from the inpatient side, Medicaid has very specific criteria, and some things, are not allowed on the unit. But from the outpatient side, we're much more broad. So we have, people with ALS and multiple sclerosis, as well as people that have a traumatic brain injury. So we're really helping them just find that optimal level of independence. And again, as John mentioned, that person-centered approach and person-centered plan. So it's not about us and what we think that person wants, it's about finding out who they are and what they want to accomplish, and then working with their team in order to help them achieve that. So we have full range of rehab and therapy services. That includes clinical management, medication management, coping with fatigue, cognitive fatigue, physical fatigue, and then a full service of therapies, including aquatic therapy, which is, I think, extremely helpful, especially for balance and for pain and for some of the other issues. We do have therapeutic bathing services. So many people, they don't have the opportunity to be able to have a bath. Maybe their bathroom is on the second floor, or they don't have the help that they need. So we do have spa services, and then of course therapeutic recreation. Also, for outpatient services, one of the most helpful things, as I mentioned, is neuropsychology testing. We do a multidisciplinary clinic. We have many people that call and they've been just kind of struggling along since they've been discharged from the inpatient. Maybe they went to the hospital and did not come through our program, but they call and say, I don't know what to do, I know I need help, I don't know where to go. So we have an interdisciplinary clinic, and we do a one clinic day where we gather all the information. We do neuropsychological testing, and then do a physical exam, and then determine a plan for them. It's been extremely helpful. So we also help with stress management, coping, social interaction, skill building, daily living skills. So a lot of people have to relearn those things. Some people come, they can't, even take care of their own daily needs, such as brushing their teeth and washing their face and getting dressed, etc.
And where are you located?
The inpatient brain injury unit is at 9350 West Fond du Lac in Milwaukee, and the outpatient is in Bayview, 3333 South Howell. And then of course we have our main campus. We're kind of all over. Okay, so wellness is a big part of what we do, obviously, with physical strengthening, health and nutrition education, all the supportive services, education and training, and family resources. So family is a very important part. With brain injury, it's something that doesn't just happen to that individual. It really affects everybody related to that individual. And of course, we integrate with employment services and vocational rehabilitation. So trying to get that person back to work and providing as much support as is needed to help them achieve their goal. Okay, so I think I already talked about, you can see pretty much anything an individual needs to help them recover. We have it, and we'll include that in the plan. It's all customized. So trying to determine what that person needs, it's individualized and yet evidence-based. And we do use evidence-based tools to measure the progress. Functional independence measure is one of those. In the first 6 months of opening at the inpatient, we've been able to show a 23% improvement in the outcomes. So I think that's very important and speaks well to our team. There's our locations.
That's it.
I think that's it. So I think Tanya's going to talk about another very important program. I haven't left her a lot of time, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of go quickly because I want to be mindful of your time. But we're going to be opening a neonatal abstinence program as part of our Children's Center. And these are, oops, no, I'm getting trouble.
See, you did it too.
Yeah, I did it too. Hold on. Oops. These are babies who are born, unfortunately, to drug-addicted moms. So in 2012, local hospitals reported that they serve more than 160 neonatal abstinence babies, and by all accounts that number is going to continue to grow each year. And because of the need, MCFI is going to be opening up an NAS unit for these newborns later this year. It's pretty startling, some of the statistics, and it's very interesting. We had a neonatal abstinence conference about a month ago, and I was pretty shocked to learn that these NAS babies are not all born to African American moms. You'll be surprised to know that a lot of these babies that are being born are born to North Shore moms who are who unfortunately the mothers are addicted to either illegal opiates or legally prescribed medications like OxyContin and Vicodin, or just general pain medications. So it's pretty scary. And the issue obviously cuts across economic lines. And the newborns who are born dependent on drugs typically are cared for during extended stays in NICUs, so the costs are astronomical. The average cost of treating one of these babies is about $160,000, so it's an astronomical amount of money. And MCFI is really primed to serving this particular population. We have some wonderful nurses and physicians on staff. We received a generous grant from Junior League to start up the program, and like I said, later this year the program is going to be launched. So, and I'm sorry, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but we would love to host your church group as a group, or have you come to visit us as individuals. We have some phenomenally meaningful volunteer opportunities. There's a table that we set up right outside of where your services take place. It has a listing of all these various volunteer opportunities, either one-time volunteer opportunities or ongoing, and we would just love to see you and showcase the agency, because what Dr. Sikora and John spoke about does nothing in comparison to seeing what we do firsthand. So I want to thank you again for hosting us and having us here and showcasing just a couple of our programs. And also thank you very much for your generosity in supporting our agency through a gift to MCFI. Thank you.
How do people find your organization? Are they referred to?
Yeah, sure. And could you actually add the
All kinds
of ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Yes.
actually.
From hospital.